And we ended up at Lackland Air Force Base for 3 years, and I was discharged there in 1965. I was at St. Tikhon's Monastery that Memorial Day weekend, and Matuska Mary Fedes was there. That's Andy Fedes' mother. And she asked, he said, hey, Father Dan, why don't you go to Harrisburg? They're building a new parish there. You know, you're out of the Air Force and you're young. Why don't you consider that? And I said, yeah, I was reading about that in the Russian Orthodox Journal of the R Clubs. It was open. A new parish was being formed. So I told Archbishop Kiprian about it. And I went down there to talk with the parish council. And it was a big challenge, of course. And there was no land, no home, no church. Just about 40 people, maybe 60 people. And I said, I'll help you build a church. Of course, I couldn't afford much. Well, my resolution I was dated July 2nd, 1965, signed by Father Joseph Pichte, the Chancellor. It's written in Russian, by the way. And I came here, presented it to the senior warden. That's what Andrew Fedes was when I came here. We used different terms then. When I first came to Harrisburg, we had services at a house chapel rented by the Lutheran church in the area. So they rented it to us for, I guess about a couple of years. That's where Father Michael Roscoe began with the mission with this parish at that time. And of course, there was no place for me to stay. I stayed at Andy Fedes' house. And then for a while, the parish put me in a little apartment. It's not an apartment, it's a private home where I had a room. And I stayed there for a number of months until they bought the Zlogar property, the Cape Cod house we were living in for so many years. On 1st December 1965, there wasn't enough money to pay my salary. And Joe Fesco, this treasurer, said that we have to wait until Christmas. We got a good income. And that was when we had Christmas on January 7th. That's when I got paid for December. But from that moment on, things worked out, and we have what we have now in Harrisburg. We had a contractor, James C. Johnson, was willing to help us build a church here on Locust Lane. We bought the property. We borrowed money from family, especially the Fedes family, and Mrs. Anna Reedy. So we started in November. I remember groundbreaking began in November of 1965, and we moved in March 1966. And the first services here, by the way, happened to be a Vespers on a Saturday evening, and my birthday, March 27, 1966. After the mortgage was paid off and the parish was growing and we were having a little bit overcrowding in the old church, where we were, we decided, let's try to build a new church, a bigger one. And the plan was always to build it on this spot. We thought about that with the building committee, the parish council, in 1965 when I first came here, when we bought this property from the Zlogars. And we raised about almost $200,000. And Bishop Kiprian gave us permission, to continue building the church with the funding, because we had at least 1/3 down for the whole total payment. And we began building here. And took out a mortgage, and it took quite quickly. We paid it off. We had here the future Metropolitan Herman, who was Archbishop then, with Metropolitan Theodosius, and they consecrated this church. And to me, that was really happening. I always wanted that to happen. Never thought it would happen. After the church was done, we had a lot of blank panels on the wall. And those panels, by the way, were put there for icons whenever we're ready. And we decided at that time to get icons in our church. The iconostas, of course, I've already done. And Father Theodore Urevis did them. But when we put icons up, we asked for donations, and we paid them off right away. When we had our first Orthodox Sunday Vespers here, I directed the choir, had about 60 in the choir, and we had about 25 priests, and we had so many people. We had people downstairs in the church watching a remote video of the services. We must have had about 350 people in church. It was really, I always remember that. They were going to have the retirement of the Huey helicopter. That was a famous helicopter during the Vietnam War era. And they're going to have a final send-off. This helicopter was being ferried from different cities across the United States, Chicago, Washington, and he wanted it to end in Harrisburg. So this lawyer asked me, would I be the chaplain? And here I go over there in my Air Force uniform, and I was there with so many VIP political figures, I didn't believe it. Not only Mayor Stephen Reed, but Governor Rendell, Senator Specter, Senator Santorum. Of course, I couldn't have done anything really without my wife Theodora. And later on, with the help of my 3 sons. And then later on, we began having help later on from our grandchildren, Dimitri and Sophia. From that moment on, things worked out, and we have what we have now in Harrisburg. And I was very proud and humbled that so much was accomplished, during my regime, during my realm, during my priesthood, during my assignment here. Was working with the people as usual and trying to motivate them, and it worked, and I feel that I fulfilled my mission here in Harrisburg, especially after all the apostles' mission started in Mechanicsburg. We spun off. We grew so well, paid off the debt, and we spun off into another little missionary parish. So I was thinking, maybe it's the time to go. So I thought maybe I would retire, but not really retire as such, but not to be the pastor anymore at Christ the Saviour Orthodox Church. Let someone else take over now.